Speaking of a dude that doesn't play, I'm going to start calling him Philly Godfather in play. Like kid in play. This dude has been balls on this year. Look at I'm going to give him, before I bring him on, one of the legendary lines in the history of Dallas Cowboy football. You ready? How about them Cowboys? Let's bring in Philly Godfather.
You got me laughing, Dan, so hard.
How you doing, brother?
Oh, man, I lead a charmed life. I mean, Michigan's in the final. I gave them to you guys before the season started at 9-1. We gave you Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman at 12-1. We gave you Washington to win the Pac-12 at plus 500. And we also gave you the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East at 2-1.
Damn, man. All right, hey, real quick. Who you got in Monday's championship game? Michigan or Washington? I'll tell you what, that kid Michael Penix can play.
Yeah, he scares me. You know, I got futures on Michigan. Line opened up 3.5, 4, went up to as high as 5.5, and then we saw some resistance in the market. Brought it right back down to 4.5 where it currently sits. I just don't think Washington has faced a defense like this all season. If you look at the best pass rush they faced all year, it was against Oregon State, and Oregon State wasn't a complete team, and they barely beat that team 22-20. And now you're playing arguably the best pass rush in college football. And I told everyone how soft that Alabama offensive line was. I told them on Twitter, Michigan's going to run right through them, and that's exactly what happened. And to be honest, if Michigan didn't commit all those mistakes, they probably would have won the game by 20 points.
Boy, I'll tell you something, man. Can you imagine with all the suspensions, all the shit that went on with Michigan? That guy Connor, what's his name, was in the stands at the Rose Bowl. I mean, are they not the modern day Raiders? The way don't they act like the Raiders and the Patriot Belichick teams back in the day, that they're just something on the grade line that these guys do. And to me, I like it. I like it. I like the bad guy image that he has. This guy's crazy great.
I love it. I mean, it was, like we said, when they suspended him, I mean, I think it worked against every other team in college football. Those kids are fighting for him. Everyone's cheering for him. It kind of brought everyone together. And it gave them the mentality that we're not going to be beat. And now they're going to play a Huskies team that the public's all over. I'm surprised the early action, the recreational sports bettor, 8 out of every 10 tickets placed so far has been on Washington. So the average guy's betting Washington like they already know who's going to win the game. And Michigan's probably one of the best teams I've seen in a long time. I also bet J.J. McCarthy over 195.5 passing yards. I think he's going to light that Washington defense up this week.
It's a slam dunk. Lamar Jackson's the MVP, right?
Yeah, it's over. It's done. It's done. Yeah. He don't have the best numbers. Dak has the best numbers of any quarterback, but he's beaten some good teams. And that Ravens team, I mean, they're the second odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl behind the San Francisco 49ers at 3-1. So he's going to be the youngest guy ever to win 2 MVPs in a regular season. I mean, he's been playing lights out. We talked about it before the season started. You asked me if I thought he could have another MVP season, and I was all for it. I thought he could. You asked me about this Ravens team, and I said, yeah, I think this might be the year with the Chiefs falling off and a couple of the other teams in the AFC not as good. The Buffalo Bills fell off early. I thought the Ravens got a shot to get there. Now I'm hoping they play the Browns in the championship because I do have futures on the Browns at 40-1. And Stefanski's coach of the year, that's a done deal already as well. So look what he's done with a team that was all banged up all season. And it just shows you how good the nucleus of that Cleveland Browns team was for them to overcome all these injuries. I mean, Chubb, you got Watson, and they're still right there. They're still beating teams, and they're the biggest threat to the Ravens getting to the Super Bowl in the playoffs this season.
All right, let's get to the Eagles Sunday against the Gigantes. Jalen Hurts needs 197 yards to go for 4,000, and he probably needs like 240-something yards to break Carson Wentz's all-time single season passing yard mark. First, let's do this. Does he get 4,000 passing yards?
He should if they don't sit him in the second half. I mean, if the Cowboys come out and they're 13-point favorites over the Commanders and they're blowing out the Commanders, I mean, why would you play him in the second half? He can only get hurt. So if he plays the entire game, yeah, I think he goes over his passing yards. I think he gets there.
Does he break Wentz's record?
240 against that horrible pass defense of the Giants, even though they've been playing a little better. Tyrod Taylor doesn't turn the ball over. They're not going to have as many possessions as they usually would against a Tommy DeVito-led Giants team. 240. Carson Wentz is playing for the Rams, too. That's funny. If he plays the full game, yeah, I think he gets there. Yeah.
Who has more passing yards this weekend, Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts?
I mean, the backups.
The 49ers are probably going to sit everybody.
Yeah, they're going to sit everyone. They're playing all their backups. But when's the last time Carson Wentz? I think Hurts. I mean, when's the last year? Yeah, it's great. You got to get adjusted to game speed. I mean, you were a great football player, college football, NFL player. That game speed, it'll take you a little bit of time to get adjusted to it. And I just hope Carson Wentz doesn't get hurt.
Let's get into the games. Saturday. I don't know, because Pittsburgh, there's still an outside shot, right?
Yeah.
Godfather, that they could make the playoffs. So I'm going to say Pittsburgh wins that ball game. Or Tyler Huntley can play, man. He's a good ball player. I just wonder how many of the starters in the O-line Baltimore's going to play. They've wrapped up home field. I can't think there's going to be a lot of frontline guys. Do you lean towards Pittsburgh taking this one here, or are the points too out of whack for you to take Pittsburgh?
I mean, it's up to 3 now. Pittsburgh's a 3-point favorite. It did reach as high as 4. But if you look over the last few seasons, even when Baltimore was healthy, Pittsburgh's beaten them, I think, 4 of the last 6 times with a healthy Lamar Jackson. So they've always given the Ravens some problems. The Ravens, if anything, if you're looking to bet them, I would bet them in the first half. I keep going back and forth on this game, man. So I'm not really going to – I don't think I'll fire until before game time. But if you're looking to bet the Ravens, I think the first half play is better than the full game line. But I'm not looking to bet this game, and there's just too much uncertainty.
Yeah.
And anytime, I want to put some money down, I got to be, I got to have an educated guess of which way the game's going to go. And right now, I got no clue who's playing and who's not playing.
This is really, I think, the playoffs start here for these two teams, if I'm not mistaken, right? Houston and Indy. These two teams, this is like a playoff. This is like an extra wild card game here in a way, because these two teams have a lot on the line, Indy and Houston, fighting for playoff spot. In Houston, if I'm not mistaken, depending on what the Jags do, they're actually still in play now for the AFC South.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? We gave them out on your show at the beginning of the season, over 5.5 wins. I didn't expect them to be this good, but their defense has been playing lights out. CJ's back. Line originally opened up Colts -1.5. Now it's flip-flopped. It's anywhere from -1, 1.5 on the Texans. Since week 10, the Texans defense has been playing lights out. I think they're top 10 in defensive EPA, while the Colts are ranked like 21 or 22. They got the better quarterback, better roster overall. I mean, Minshew's been fun watching him play, but I think the Texans are just a better team overall. I think you can pencil the Texans into the playoffs here. I think they win the game. I bet them on the money line. I think they're the better squad going into this game. They got the better quarterback. And the Colts really, like the last 4 weeks, I think they're 1-3 against the spread. So they've been underperforming against the market. And that's, to me, that's a predictive indicator that their level of play has fallen off over the last 4 weeks. So I like the Texans here.
Guess who has been, according to Pro Football Focus, the best edge rusher in the last 3 weeks?
I got no clue. Who is it?
Derek Barnett. 2.5 sacks, 15 hits on the QB. Okay? I mean, pressure's out the way. He's rated the best edge rusher in the last 3 weeks by Pro Football Focus. Wow. Derek Barnett.
The Eagles could have used him, man.
Cut him.
They're ranked like 25th in sack percentage, pressure rate this season, and they've been falling off, consistently since like week 5, week 6 of the season, and they're not getting that pressure they were getting early on, and that's been a major problem, especially with I think they're ranked 28th in opponent yards per pass attempt, one of the worst backfields in the entire league. We talked about it all season, and like I said, when the season started, if this defensive line wasn't so good, then they'd probably have the worst pass defense in football, and that's what it's looking like now.
I'm going to wait to the end for Giants and Eagles. So we're going to do it at the very end here. Cleveland at Cincinnati. Cleveland probably still jockeying around for. Now, I don't know if they can improve their playoff position where they're sitting right now or not. But, boy, I'll tell you this, and from what I'm hearing, they're going to sit Flacco. So that probably favors Cincinnati. But, hey, how much is that a good bet for potentially being a Super Bowl winner, the Cleveland Browns? Would you put a bet on that those guys? He 4 straight games over 300 yards. I mean, they've been killing it. I mean, is that a bet you would throw out there, or is it again that's just too far out there?
I bet him at the beginning of the season at 40-1. I got $3,000 on him. I got
Holy
the ticket
cow.
on my Twitter account. If they do win the Super Bowl, I win 120,000. Now I don't think they're going to get there. I really bet the ticket, expecting the hedge in the playoffs, and I'm hoping the Ravens. I mean, they match up well against the Ravens, but Lamar's Lamar. Man, he can extend plays and he can really cause some damage on that defensive side. But Flacco's been playing great. And if they do win the Super Bowl, it's got to be one of the greatest stories in NFL history. The guy was on his couch, comes back, and he got a shot. If you're looking to hedge maybe and make some free money, I think it's a sharp bet. But I think you still grab him at like 30-1 or 35-1. I got him at 40-1. I wouldn't put a lot of money on it. It's like a little bit of a lottery ticket, like a scratch off with a chance to, make you back some money.
Minnesota at Detroit. Are you buying Detroit? Do you think there are players? Theoretically, they had that Cowboy game 3 times. Okay, and it was Dan Campbell going for it. I think that was a mistake, and also the ref blew the call, in my opinion. I don't care what they say. I don't know. It was really freaky at the end of that. I thought they won that game, but however, they still didn't. Are you buying Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team. They're one of the best teams. If you look at their against the spread record, against that Vegas number, one of the best in the NFL this season, top 5. So teams that outperform the market are usually better than what the odds makers think. And we bet them at the beginning of the season. Another bet I gave you guys, Detroit Lions to win the NFC North at plus 160. And that was probably like one of my biggest bets of the season. I just thought they were so far ahead of everyone else in that division. Yeah, they're for real. They can definitely make some noise. I mean, it's the Cowboys, it's the 49ers, and it's them in the NFC. And I don't think anyone else can, the people want to talk about the Eagles, and they got some guys coming back on defense for the playoffs. But I don't think they're in that echelon right now.
You know what? I think Mike Vrabel's going to have that team playing Tennessee. Jacksonville has to win this game to win the South. How do you look at this one here?
I mean, as long as Lawrence plays, I took the Jags minus 2.5, expecting him to play. I talked to Pro Football Doc, and it's trending that he's going to play. That offensive line on that Titans team, they've given up the third most sacks on the season. So they got major issues. Yeah, they would love to, go. They got nothing to lose playing the Jags here. But if the Jags jump out to an early start like they did the first time they played, when the Jags jumped out 13-0 at halftime, then there's really nothing to play for. Forget about having nothing to lose. You're down. The season's over. I think those veterans in the second half are going to pack it in. I like the Jags here in the first half, minus 2.5. I think that'll win you some money. I think the Jags are in the playoffs. I think they win the division.
Okay, what do you do with a game like the Jets and the Patriots? Nothing?
I mean, they're getting 1.5 points. If you want to do something, I would tie them into a teaser, 7-point teaser, so you can get plus 8.5 on the Jets. And I was teased.
Belichick's going to want to go out a winner, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the Patriots are all banged up. I mean, the Jets are just so much healthier than this team going into this game. I look at their SIC score, their injury score, and the Jets are 12 points higher. So as much as they want to win for Belichick, they're really banged up. And if I can grab 8.5 points on the Jets in a teaser and tease down the Bengals to a pick 'em, because the Bengals are 7-point favorites over the Browns, because the Browns are going to sit everybody, that's a bet I want to make. I want to take the Bengals at a pick, and I want to take the Jets plus 8.5. So put them in a 7-point teaser, and you'll probably make some money.
They should activate Jerry Garcia, Aaron Rodgers in this thing here. Maybe we can activate him. You know what? Atlanta, New Orleans, this is an important game because these two teams are still in the mix for the NFC South here, man. I know it's the shittiest division in football, but hey, somebody's got to win that division. And guess what? Whoever wins that division, the Eagles have to play.
Hopefully they don't play the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers might give the Eagles some problems. But I think the Atlanta Falcons, you're getting 3.5 points. Game's a coin flip. They still got a top 5 defense when you look at their metric and opponent yards per play. If it's a coin flip, give me the points. I like Atlanta here, plus 3, plus 3.5. I think they cover the spread.
Do the Bucs beat Carolina?
Yeah, I think they beat them. Yeah, I can't. I mean, they're 4.5-point favorites. The point spread's a great equalizer. Carolina's been playing so down the stretch. I think the Buccaneers want to go in there and, nice clean victory, some momentum going into the playoffs. If anything, you want to bet them in the first half, -2.5. I think the Buccaneers are the right side.
I got a new name for David Tepper. It's David Teppermint. Yeah, David Temperament throwing drinks on Jag fans. Way to go, asshole. Let's go here now. Chicago, Green Bay. Green Bay has a shot still to get in there. They got to win this ball game. And get this, the oldest rivalry in pro football is the Bears and the Packers here. And Justin Fields has played pretty decent, man. I mean, he's looked a lot better. How about this little nugget for you? In the last 7 games, Jordan Love has thrown 16 touchdowns. He's got 31 on the year now. You talk about a guy who turned it all around here this year, really started playing pretty good. It's the replacement for Aaron Rodgers. He's really had a nice year.
Yeah, and early in the season, they were missing some offensive linemen. They were banged up.
Yeah.
Remember that Detroit game on Thursday night? Detroit went in there and just, they blitzed them because they were missing so many guys. But now they're starting to get healthier. Their line opened up 1.5. It's up to 3. It's on that key number. I think the game's a coin flip. The Bears have been playing a lot better. Their defenses have been playing a lot better. Justin Fields have been playing better. This is tough. It's at Lambeau. The public's all over the Bears here. If you get anything under a field goal on the Packers, it's probably the right side. But I think the number's right there. At 3, I think the number's right on, man.
Denver at the Raiders again here. I think Denver's been eliminated. And here's the one thing. Antonio Pierce is still trying to make he's trying to make some noise to make sure that he gets that job. I think he's 4-4 since he's taken over as the head football coach. So I got to think that Denver wants to go out on a win to kind of give themselves some good love here as they go into the offseason here. I think it's an interesting ball game.
Yeah, I mean, the line's 3. The public's all over the Raiders here. I think 90% of the action so far, early money in Costa Rica, in Las Vegas, and Atlantic City is on the Raiders. I haven't bet it yet. I haven't been able to identify an edge. If I do, I'll give it out on Twitter, but I haven't, I hate giving out picks that I haven't bet yet. You know what I mean, Dan? Yeah.
All right, let's go over here now. Seattle's still in the mix in the NFC for the playoffs, and they got the hard-charging Arizona Gannons after they just annihilated. Hey, but by the way, how shocked were you that Arizona won that game against? You're not shocked that Arizona killed the Eagles. That score wasn't that score wasn't a true reflection of how bad they beat them. They should have beat them by 14 points.
Well, how many times did we talk about it on your show this year that last year when the Eagles were a much better team, they went to Arizona, they won by 1 point. And now, last week you were giving me 12, 13 points on an Arizona team with a coach that knows the Eagles like the back of their hand. I was all over Arizona plus the points, first half, full game. I bet the over. I knew there was going to be a ton of points scored. Did I expect them to win the game outright? Maybe like 30% of me, you know what I mean? But I knew they were going to come. I knew it was going to be a close game. And the Eagles just crapped the bed, man. Let's be honest. Something's going on with, the wide receiver, the quarterback, the defense. There's a lot of stuff in the locker room that's going on that isn't good going into the playoffs. Let's be honest. I don't want to talk about it, but there's something really going on back there.
I like Arizona over Seattle.
It's tough because, it's
at home.
Yeah, it's tough playing up there. It's tough, man, because you're coming off a big emotional win. You beat the Eagles. That was their Super Bowl.
Seattle needs this.
It's like a letdown spot. The line's, again, 3. So the bookmakers ain't doing you any favors. I kind of like Seattle here.
Kansas City at the loser Chargers. I mean, I don't think Mahomes is playing.
Nah, a bunch of guys aren't going to be playing.
So it's one of them things.
They're all banged up. The Chargers are favored, 3.5-point favorites at home. I mean, that goes to tell you right there. The market's telling you that a bunch of guys from Kansas City ain't playing. Mahomes ain't playing. I'm not touching that game. I hate
this.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay. This is an interesting one. Last year they ended up at the end, and Washington beat them. Dallas at Washington. How do you, again, big-time rival, Cowboys have the edge to win the East. They're in the mix for a lot of things, 2 home playoff games. They got the Eagles in their rear view with that gift from Arizona. You think they'd win big here?
This is a tricky game for the Cowboys. They're banged up on their offensive line. They're missing some guys. This is reminding me of that Arizona game early in the season when they lost as 13-point favorites. Now, do I think the Cowboys lose? No. Do I think they cover the spread? No. The line's too high here. There's too many key components on their offensive line that's banged up going into this game. It's a division game. These games are really tough. Give me Commanders plus 13 points all day.
Woo! Hey. This is a very entertaining thing, I think. Buffalo at Miami. It's in South Florida. Miami has not beaten a quality team this year, in my opinion, at all. And as a matter of fact, when they play quality teams, they got blown out. There's no Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill is still a little banged up. Buffalo's been playing. They wobbled a little last week.
Yeah.
Okay, against New England. But that's, Belichick is always going to put a good defense up no matter what it is. His offense has been horrible. This is a pretty interesting ball game here. And Buffalo, if they win this ball game, they win the AFC East. This is actually for the AFC East.
Yeah, and you can lay 155, 160 on Buffalo to win the AFC East. Last time I checked. I mean, Miami's limping into this one. Tyreek Hill was in a boot. His house, I think, caught on fire. Waddle's banged up. They lost their best pass rusher. Their offensive line's banged up. It's a tough game, man. And like you said, Buffalo's been red hot. They've won, 5 of the last 6, and they should have beat the Eagles. They lost that game in overtime, but they really gifted that game to the Phillies. So this team has been playing some pretty good football. They got, the second or third best point differential in the AFC. Market open, Buffalo -2. It's up to -3 in some spots, 2.5. I think the right side's Buffalo here, man. Anything under a field goal, I think Buffalo gets the job done. I think they win the division here. Miami's just too banged up. It's a bad spot for them. Last time they played, Buffalo blew their doors out. I think this game's a little closer, but I like Buffalo here.
Man, I could see Buffalo and Baltimore in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, that'd be a great. And Buffalo's running the ball more, so they can hold on to the leads. That was the biggest thing on them. They never ran the ball. They couldn't run the ball, and teams would come back on them. And this year, they've showed the ability to run the ball and, win the time of possession battle. And that's huge in the playoffs, man.
Okay, here we go.
Go Birds!
4.5 is, I believe, the spread. Giants hosting the Philadelphia Eagles, who have to actually – now, wait a minute. Before you give me your answer, let me throw this at you and think that if you were Philly, would you concede the East and rest your guys to give your guys a complete week off where you're going – because if you play and nothing changes, you're not getting a week off. And you're going to have to go on the road and play either Tampa, Atlanta, or New Orleans, or one of them teams. You're going to have to play anyway on the road if nothing changes. Do you concede the East, and do you rest your guys, or do you play your guys against the Giants?
I think you make that decision at halftime, depending on what the scores of the Cowboys.
So you're scoreboard watching.
You have to, because, if you win the NFC East, you don't got to go on the road. Let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think you got to. Now, if the Cowboys come out to, a 30-3 lead at halftime, well, then you're going to have to rest your guys, make sure they don't get hurt. But I think they got to play these guys. But it doesn't mean they're going to blow the Giants out. Giants been playing some pretty good football. They should have beat the Rams, the previous week. They missed that field goal. And the Eagles haven't shown, any fight over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I'm not looking to bet on the Eagles here, but I do like them in the first half a little bit. Line opened up 6. It went down to 4.5. Now it's creeping back up to 5.5, 6 on the Eagles. So I think they're expecting them to play their starters at least in the first half. I like the Eagles in the first half. If you can get a good number on them, anything below that key number of 3, I think you win a ticket. But again, it's tough betting the full games, last week of the season, because you don't know what the coaches are going to do in the second half of these football games. So I like the Eagles in the first half.
See, this is why I think you take the Eagles, but then the 4.5 kind of bugs me, and I'll tell you why. If you're the Giants and you win this game, you could potentially go from an opportunity to be the second hole in the NFL draft in April, where if you lose this, there's a chance you could be the second pick in the draft. If you win this game, there's a chance that you could be out of the 5th pick. You got to look at a little bit of the organizational future here too. So if you win, you lose. If you lose, you win. And what's the point of one game? To make yourself feel better because you beat the Eagles? I don't think that's enough of a payoff for me where I could maybe get this, Marvin Harrison Jr. for Daniel Jones. I mean, it just doesn't make sense why I would go into that game and want to win it.
I was thinking the same thing last year. I think it was the Bears who should have lost the game, and they would have.
It was the Texans.
And end up winning the game. So
I love he jammed it to him and gave him a parting gift.
Yeah. So sometimes these coaches throw common sense out the window, or I don't know what really goes on, but it seems like every time I start thinking that way, it ends up losing. So I got to just bet what I see. Tyrod Taylor doesn't turn the ball over.
Almost 400 yards in offense last week. Oh, he did have 400 yards.
And it's up to 6. I mean, if the game gets to 7.
Oh, I'm taking the 6 in the Giants.
Yeah, I would wait because the game might go to 7. The public's betting the Eagles like crazy in this game. So if it goes to 7, that's such a key number. I would probably, like I said, lay the Eagles in the first half and then take the 7 on the Giants for full game. And you probably win both bets, as crazy as that sounds.
Do the Eagles win a playoff game, yes or no?
It depends who they play, man. They don't match up well against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers playing some pretty good football right now. One of the best teams against the spread. They've been outperforming the market all season. They've been getting better as the year progressed. Baker looks better. They got some playmakers on offense. But they are getting some guys back. Man, it depends who if they play the Buccaneers, no. No, I think the Buccaneers beat them in the first. I'm just being honest. I mean, they can match up. Their defense is better than ours. Their offense, they've got playmakers like we do. Jalen Hurts turning the ball over like crazy. Where are the Eagles ranked? 24th in turnover margin, 28th in pass defense, 23rd in opponent yards. I mean, this defense, their sack percentage fell off. Now they're like in the basement of the NFL, getting to the quarterback. Man, it's scary.
Hey, tell people where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me on Twitter at Philly Godfather. You can stop by the PhillyGodfather.com.
Come on, man. Swing on, going on. You got to get the big old swings going.
Go Cowboys!
Hey, brother, I love you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Make sure you check out my boy, Philly Godfather. Thank you, brother.
Good luck, guys. Keep winning.
You got it, man. I really appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect